This is the Collector Car Podcast, the home for the auto enthusiast. Join Greg Stanley as he applies over 25 years of insights and analytical experience to the collector car market. He will interview the experts and throw in some fun stuff as well.
Today I'd like to welcome a special guest, Peter Boettcher. Peter, how you doing today?
Good. How are you, Greg?
Good. So the goal of this podcast is to kind of check out what drives collectors. So Peter, why don't you tell us what do you collect and why?
I've been very heavily involved with the Porsche 356 since 1964 when my father brought one back from a business trip in Germany. And some of my earliest memories are being a kid in the back of his 356 and being stopped by the police. Yeah, and then that transferred into my ownership of my first one in 1974 when I found one in Middletown, Ohio, a 356 A coupe.
Now, what was your dad?
His was a 356B, a sunroof coupe, dolphin gray sunroof coupe, which was a very pretty car. And then the irony was that he, probably about 2 months before I got my driver's license, traded it in on a Volkswagen Fastback.
Oh no!
So I had my first one in '74, and that was literally my daily driver through my college years. I had a lot of fun in that car.
Now, did your dad ever tell you why he got the car in the first place?
He was a German national and was familiar with the cars from all his time in Germany. When I was a younger kid, he wound up with some very oddball cars like Opels and Skodas and things like that.
Right.
And had reliability issues, and then he went on this trip to Germany and was enthralled with the performance of the car at that time, and then also how reliable it appeared to be. And he used that as his. We lived in Westchester County, New York, and he used that as his daily driver to get back and forth to the train station. And we went, and we did, it was a year-round car. We went to ski areas and all kinds of other things, literally year-round in that car, and had a lot of fun.
Now, did you confront him when he sold it just before your 16th birthday?
Yes.
How'd that go?
His response was, well, it was starting to rust out, which is not a surprise on the bottom side. And, I just, can't, number one, put you in it because we don't think it would be a reliable car for you as a teenage driver. And I said, okay, fine.
Wow. So I'm assuming that one's lost to time. Is that correct?
Yes. You know what? In fact, one thing I need to do, there's the 356 talk page, which is a very active part of the 356 registry, and I need to put out there the serial number, and because I have all the documentation from when the car was imported, including name of ship that came in on the United States, and I've got a lot of pictures and a lot of details that I would love to find the current owner and be able to share that with him.
Oh, that would be amazing. You've got the hard stuff. Now you just got to find the car.
Right, exactly.
Wow. Now, where did your car collection go from there? That first 356 you bought in 74.
Well, I had that as my daily driver. That went off the road probably in about 79 or so. And then in 1982, my wife and I were buying a house in southern Ohio, and the real estate agent said, "Oh, my son has one of those parked in his garage," and it was a 64C Cabriolet. We went down there and looked at it, and it was, she had like firewood stacked all over it.
Oh, no.
And so, her and her son was in the process of buying another house, and I made her an offer on the car, or I made him an offer on a car. I never heard back, and as I called his mom and said, "Hey, you know what? I offered your son this much for the car," and she goes, "Really?" So the next day I heard back from him, and that became mine, and then I started to restore that. In the meantime, the A coupe was sitting off in the storage unit. And so from the 64, after that, I bought a 74 911.
Okay.
The 911S.
Oh, nice.
It was a Target, and had that as my fun car. And then in about 1980, we decided to try to build a house, and that car went and became the down payment for that new house.
Okay, so you did shed a car, so that's...
Yeah. And that what was funny is that, as a side note, we were living in Monroe, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, and I advertised it in Panorama. And a guy called and said, "Hey, I'm going to take a look at your car." And he was up towards the Cleveland area, and I said, "How about we meet in Columbus?" And he said, "That's great." So he and I met, and I happened to have title along with me, and he said, "Okay, fine, I'll buy the car. Here's X thousand cash." So
Right.
I gave him the car and the title, and my wife had to come up to Columbus, an hour and a half drive, to pick me up to get me home. Then I bought went all the way to 1997, and I bought a 84 911 from a good friend who had brought a Euro Targa over from Switzerland.
Okay.
And it was literally only had like 20,000 miles on it at the time. That's still in the garage. Also in 1997, I bought the 55 Speedster that I currently own.
Oh, nice.
From a good friend from Cincinnati, and went through literally about a 10-year restoration on that car.
Now, what's the specs on that Speedster? I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a white 55 Speedster with red interior, 1500, of course, at that time, super engine in it.
Okay.
And it was restored by Mark Schlachter, Metalcraft in Cincinnati.
Yep, does great work out of there.
Oh, yeah. And so after that, literally, like I said, a 10 or 11-year restoration, my wife literally became a major driving force in getting the restoration completed.
Oh, that's nice. Nice to have her on your side.
Oh, yeah. And then my wife also, we were very involved with in Alt Park, the concourse at Alt Park in Cincinnati. So the car was shown several times there. And then she actually decided, well, you know what, I think I'd like to try to do one of these myself.
Oh,
so we found, in the greater Cincinnati area, we found a 66 912 that had been off the road since about 1972.
Wow.
And it was in storage in literally a horse barn. And when we went over to see it, it was covered in a tarp and had an inch of dust on it. It was proverbial barn find. So the guy had a tractor, and he dragged it out of the barn and looked at it. Okay, fine, we bought it. And it was going to be her car to restore. So I got it home and hosed it down and vacuumed out about 50 pounds of mouse poop and insulation that the mice packed in the car. And then, fortunately, she developed stage 4 lung cancer and passed away.
Oh, wow.
And then at that point, I sold that car to a very close friend of one of my sons. And then about 2 years later, he called and said, "Hey, I'm having a second kid. Do you want to buy this car back?" And I said, "Absolutely." And it was at the same price that I had sold it to him for. So that car is right now sitting in the wings, waiting to be finished. Basically, I feel like I'm a collector of orphans, because I had another friend call, and he had a 69 912 that was very, very complete, originally tangerine orange, and now guards red, and it was too good an offer to refuse, so I have that car, and that'll probably be my next one to get on the road. In addition to that, literally both my sons are very involved in the local Porsche community. I had bought a 1970 911T Targa that my younger son kind of took over as his car. It was in good shape, and that is now his. And then my older son, we literally, with Dick Weiss and Tom Other, and with a very strong network that we have in the Cincinnati area, I came across the 64C Coupe, the Irish Green Coupe, and he and Dick Weiss went over and looked at it. They had been contacted by the lady that owned it, or her husband had passed away, so we wound up with that, and that's sitting in my garage. And I've been working on that for him, trying to get that all caught up.
Wow. So it looks like you have quite an array of Porsches, because you go back to the oldest one's the Speedster, was it 1955?
55, right. And the newest one is the '08 Cayenne.
Okay. I was going to say the 84, but no, that's
right,
it's not the 84, it's the 2008. So you have early 356s, you got the 912s, the 911s. So do you have anything left in the 1970s? Is that next on your list? I know you have 69.
That's it. The 70 Target went to my son in Cincinnati. We got that all straightened out. And that was actually bought from a good friend in in the Cincinnati area. What's interesting is, there's so much networking going on that most of these cars that go up for sale, never hit the classified. Regionally say, hey, I've got this car for sale. And the 2008 Cayenne actually was my wife's daily driver, for a number of years until she passed away. And I've kept that because, number one, in memory of her, and also, when I retire, that'll be my daily driver.
Well, what's the next car on your wish list? Do you have one?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm thinking like a Cayman S.
Oh, okay.
Would be fun.
Yeah.
Very, very light, very good handling. I'm kind of a little bit afraid of some of the new, the new technology with all the electronics and all that. And I would want a manual transmission. I think the Cayman S gives you the feel of some of the earlier cars.
Right.
Plus, you have the reliability to take it on long trips.
Do you have a car that got away? One that you're still kicking yourself? You didn't pull the trigger on?
Oh, well, to be honest, the 74S was a perfect car. It was in great shape. It had enough cam in it that it would push you back in the seat, and I'd dearly love to have that back.
Right. Right. Now, are there any unknown, or you can keep them anonymous if you have one, are there any unknown barn finds you can share, just so we know that there's still cool stuff out there?
They're still out there. Absolutely. There's a couple in Cincinnati. Again, through through the network that we have with like Tom Oether and Dick Weiss and Kurt, that they keep talking about that. And right now, there's a good friend of mine in Indianapolis who has called and said, "Hey, there's a speedster in a barn out here. You guys need to come out and check it out."
Oh my goodness!
So,
when can we leave?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell them to take a picture before anyone touches anything. Get that picture of the speedster covered in dust and wood and horse manure or whatever before they pull it out. That would be awesome to see that.
Actually, I should send you a couple shots of the 66 912 when we found it, which I can do, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, if you could, that'd be really great, because I might put it as the cover art for this episode. That would be really cool.
That's great.
That's awesome. Well, are you seeing any trends in the collector marketplace, specifically around Porsches you'd like to share, or observations?
Well, what's interesting is right now we have a couple of good friends here in Cincinnati that follow all the auctions, and it seems like the market is down from what it was, like, say, 2 or 3 years ago, as far as pricing goes. If you look at some of the auction results, and we see that the cars are not selling for what, like the minimum reserve that some of the sellers are putting on them. So, and I'm not sure how that's tied into the economy or not. But
right,
the early 912s are just going through the roof. People really, really want them.
Yeah, I think that a lot has to do with the price of the 911s of the same era, right? And then
right, absolutely.
Yeah, I have noticed the turbos of the 80s, those have gone back down a little bit, not a lot, but they kind of peaked. Mm-hmm. And then the 918s continue to go higher and higher. Everybody wants that supercar. So this is my favorite part of the podcast. This one, you have to put your thinking cap on, okay? I think I gave you a heads up on this, so we'll see how well you do. It's a little game I called Keep, Cash, or Crush. So I pick 3 cars for you, and you have to tell me which one you want to keep forever, which one you want to cash in, and then which one you're going to send to the crusher. My goal is to make this as hard as possible on you, okay? Okay, so the first car is Dick Weiss's Carrera Speedster. So that's the first car, okay?
Oh, my God. Definitely keep. Definitely keep.
Oh, okay. We think we have the keep car early.
Yeah.
Okay. The second car I'll give you is James Dean's 550, the haunted, cursed 550, but restored and complete, which it doesn't exist right now, but... And the third car I'll give you is a 1973 RS.
Wow. Well, I would say, and probably because I'm very close to Dick and all that, his car would mean a great deal to me. I would definitely keep that.
Okay.
I would take James Dean's 550 and sell that, and probably buy a couple of Speedsters. Third one I would let go.
Okay. Let go meaning crush. Sorry, I got to make it painful. All right, so crush.
Well, there's more of them out there. So.
Right, there's more of them out there, correct. And Dick will be a guest on our Collector Car podcast here shortly, talking about his almost 60-year ownership of that, was it 1958 or 59 Speedster?
58. And
wow.
He has a tremendous history with these cars. And in our, we're very fortunate in the Cincinnati area. He is literally a walking Porsche encyclopedia. And
Right.
whenever we have questions, we say, Dick, what does this mean? And he'll give you a half-hour spiel of what's going on.
I was fortunate to see him take off for the hill climb this past weekend, and so I got a little video of him. Yeah, I got a video of him going up the hill, so I'll post that on my Instagram as well as the Facebook page. But he won that, what, in 1962 with the same car?
Right, yeah. He was the Grand Marshal for the event this year, which, Kurt Niemeyer put together, and
Right.
Dick was the Grand Marshal, so that was a big deal.
Yeah, so I'll have both those guys on the show in the future. So, well, thank you so much for telling us about your passion for Porsches today, Peter. We really appreciate it.
No, that's great. I appreciate your call, and our Drei Staaten group in Cincinnati. We say it's about the people and not the cars, because we've built very, very strong friendships with our members of the Drei Staaten group, and I'm not sure where I'd be without those people.
Yeah, and where could our listeners learn more about that group?
DreiStaatenGroup.com.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll check it out and I'll post it with this. Cool. Well, thank you so much.
I would appreciate your call.
Thanks for listening to the Collector Car Podcast. Don't forget to give us a nice rating on iTunes and be sure to follow us on Instagram and everywhere else at the Collector Car Podcast.